Hi, I'm Q, and I play Vox Windbler. Vox is a half-elf fighter and assassin rogue. She was born and lived most of her life in Asparia at the end of the Salt Valley. Her parents are Ava Windbler, who knew Perrin when they both lived in the Feywilds, and Turan Windbler. Ava's half-brother Balak murdered Turan, imprisoned Ava, and controlled Vox's uncle Theon. This results in Vox being thrust into chaos instead of the peace she had known. She eventually finds love with Reviana Brighthand, the captain of the Royal Guard, before Balak frames Vox for murdering the king of the Salt Valley, and manipulates circumstances to cause her to travel to the Dreadspire, leaving behind everything she knew. Now she travels the world with her found family, her talking sword Brightburn, to create a better future for those she loves.
Howdy, my name is Sean, and I play Atticus Phoenix. Atticus is a human fighter with a champion/homebrewed mage slayer archetype. Atticus hails from one of the oldest royal houses in Nymeria, the House of the Phoenix, which is nestled deep within the South Green, but has been wandering the continent for some time as a knight, pledging his sword to upkeep the memory of his family and to protect the people of the land. He is haunted by an ancient entity known as the Darkness, which has cursed him and his entire family with a plague that has left him and a few others as the last of their name. Atticus is the father of Atlas, his long-lost son, best friend to Cletus the Grand of the Hill Giants, former partner of Burgent Fellhammer, and designated leader of the party.
My name is Tyler James, and I play Perrin Meliamne. Perrin is a wood elf, bard, and ranger. Perrin was born on the Golden Shores to fulfill a lost prophecy before he was transported to the Feywild to escape the land's destruction. There he was raised by a figure half forgotten to all Nymeria, and eventually traveled the land under the control of Balak Morgrasp, while learning to be a con man and wanderer. He seeks to find peace between the necessity of violence in a cruel world and his deep love of life in all its complexity. Perrin is the adoptive father of Fauna, a pledged squire of Atticus Phoenix, keeper of the Door Realm Key, companion of Amos the Mockingbird, and wielder of the Ornament of Rights.
My name is Aaliyah, and I play Fauna. She is a witch raised in the Evewood Coven that was recently wiped out by the Night Guard. Although Perrin is the closest thing she currently has to a father, her real parentage is still a mystery, as are the horns, which seem to be some kind of curse. She has a black cat familiar who is her best friend and constant companion, and has now found a new family in the ragtag party she has joined up with on this adventure.
My name is June, and I play Nyxloon, a shadow elf, divine sorcerer, and rogue assassin with our shared pronouns of she/they. The last remaining heir to the Nightlands and prime of the Court of Night, Nyx was secreted into an enchanted locket to survive an ancient war, where they were soon lost to time and the whims of their Loomstone's wielder. From close friend and confidant of the Queen, to gauche pawn and ruthless assassin for the Speakers, Nyx was passed from many hands throughout history, and changed much of it. Now freed from the Loomstone's control, Nyx has only three goals: repay their life debt to Atticus Phoenix, protect their godson, Perrin Meliamne, and reclaim what was stolen from them in memory, identity, and homeland.
Was it? There it goes. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Feast of Dice channel. I am your DM, Elijah Goodall, pronouns they, them, and this is the penultimate episode of Arc 2 of Castle Run, our long-term campaign that happens on Mondays. When we left the group last, thanks to, I will say, more than a little bit of pressure from there's a double. More than a little bit of pressure from Cletus. Perrin opened a door into St. Florian, and that is where we are starting this up. We are, I'll set the scene for you. 3 weeks have passed now here in St. Florian, where the urgency that the party felt was increasing at an exponential level thanks to conflicts with the remnants of Ord, a cult dedicated to the service of Akron and the belief that in their service they and perhaps loved lost ones would be resurrected. You've found no real signs either of the cult or of Akron here in St. Florian. Things are seemingly fine here in this large, semi-coastal southern city. It's the largest city in the South Green. For those of you who have been here, I think, Perrin, you've been here once or twice before, and Atticus, you've been here. You've been here quite a bit. Nothing seems out of place. Like your new friend and tag-along, Kurt Starfucker, mentioned at the end, or upon stepping through the door into St. Florian, this particular month is the celebration build-up to a sacred day known just as St. Florian's Day, named after the Saint Matthias Florian, who is rumored to not only have driven out the darkness with the help of others from the South Green, but also was the officiator of Atticus, of your mother and father's wedding. He has a fairly large chapel in the center of St. Florian dedicated to them, that its destruction in the sacking of St. Florian about 30 years ago or so, when it was rebuilt, one of the few things that survived was the large statue of St. Matthias, or St. Florian, outside of it. But you've been here in this city, and everything seems fine. I think in this, sort of 3 weeks of being here and looking around for things, I will tell you what some of your in-party NPCs have been up to, and then I'm going to kind of leave it up to you to tell me what you have been doing over the last 3 weeks here in this space. Given his disposition the last time that we saw him, Cletus has taken to the shadows, reaching out to old contacts, perhaps contacts that Atticus, during your time traveling with Cletus, you knew that Cletus had some affiliations with perhaps less than savory characters, that Atticus, maybe you didn't engage with these contacts as well, but you knew that Cletus was, and you would just sort of turn the other way because sometimes the information was helpful, and you could use it to help other people. But Cletus has just, at this point, over the last 3 weeks, kind of sunk into the underworld at St. Florian, occasionally checking in or making a drop at a preordained point with any intel that he's been able to gather, which has been very sparse. Armitage, Atticus, your father, who had arrived in St. Florian before the party in order to investigate, he's taken on the guise in order not to be recognized, even though it has been almost 1,000 years since Armitage Phoenix has walked the streets of St. Florian. The Phoenix family is well known enough here in St. Florian that he did not want to risk any sort of recognition. So he has taken on the guise of a beggar and is basically sort of trying to learn what he can from the shadows, pretty close to where the party has holed up for these last 3 weeks. New tag-along Kurt Starfucker actually has begun working at the tavern that exists inside the St. Florian Chapel, and has pretty quickly become a favorite at the tavern as a server. And so just basically comes home like in the wee hours of the morning with the tips that he's earned and the gold to contribute to the lodging that you all are experiencing, and then basically sleeps all day. Will sometimes like hang out with the crew before he heads off to work back at the chapel. So I will ask all of you now, in the last 3 weeks here in St. Florian, what has everyone been up to?
I'm just curious, what was Kurt, like, what was his story before we abducted him to come on this journey?
Did
like,
anyone
did he have
bother
a job?
to ask Kurt?
Like,
Okay, this flows right, and I think Perrin is actually would be spending a lot of time with Kurt because Perrin
Okay,
is
great.
very yeah. So that's my intent. Perrin wants to know all about pacifism, so he's hanging around with Kurt a lot. So when you said he's bartending, I was like, oh, even more perfect. That's
Okay,
why
great.
Perrin's there.
So you've been going into the tavern at the chapel, as it is so
Yep.
aptly named, to sort of visit Kurt during shift. In the wee hours here, you've had 3 weeks, Perrin, and you've sort of learned the rhythm of how the tavern works. I will say anyone else who wants to go with Perrin on these tavern excursions is obviously more than welcome to. Would Perrin be going in during the busier hours at the tavern in the chapel, or would you kind of be trying to find the dead time so you can get a little more one-on-one with Kurt?
I think Perrin is. I mean, presumably this is a very classic Lord of the Ringsian kind of establishment. Mm-hmm. So I think Perrin has kind of a back corner where he sets up like meetings and he's like talking to people and trying to gather resources for the team. I think he's kind of probably made himself a little bit available, but like, yeah, if you find somebody that's got information and you don't have time, send them my way. I'll find out stuff. So basically anybody who meets anyone, Perrin's kind of like chatting them up there, like, yeah, just meet me there. We'll talk about whatever you've got. But then he's also hanging around the bar. So any chance he gets, he's gravitating back towards the bar. Really, Perrin's just hanging out. He's a little confused about what we're doing right now. He's not entirely sure he knows what we're up to. He doesn't really know why we're in St. Florian, so he's just kind of like hanging out with people.
Okay.
But yeah, whenever he can, he's like, all right, Kurt, I just need you to break it down again. Like, but why don't you want just like, what do you mean pacifist?
Well,
you don't want to? You just don't choose to?
You see, Perrin, it goes like this. Hold on, let me find my little, there's what I need.
Perfect.
Well, you see, oh, yeah, no. Oh, yeah, coming up, okay. You slides it down. The bar's, I think, mostly clear at this point. You've sort of abandoned your usual table in the corner to come up and sit here at the bar. There's a few other patrons. Most of them have been here before,
Francis.
but no one...
This is all we're doing.
Francis, like, hat, like, long black brimmed hat tipped, like, lower down over his eyes, looks down at you and just kind of, like, gives you a glowering nod and goes back to his... he's just kind of holding this bowl of what looks to almost be like hot steaming broth as he just sort of takes a sip, and his face is lost in the
Have you heard him at music night, Kurt? He's amazing. He's like an angel.
Oh my god, the voice, immaculate. What I'm more interested in is, I don't know if you've seen him play too, but the fingers on that. That
Too many
particular-
fingers.
Too many. Well, can you have too many fingers though? That's the question.
Yes.
Well,
Did
each his-
you
to each his
not
own,
want
I
to have an
suppose.
answer? Okay, heard.
Well, as I was saying before, you know, in another life, you know, I was the history teacher in Portamont, and when I set out from my hometown of, you know, St. Florian, which never really thought I'd be back here. But when I set out, I, you know, had a heart full of dreams, and I was ready for some adventure. But I don't know, you know, one thing after another, and day in and day out goes by, and you know, you've got that treasure map stashed away for a rainy day, and
The what now?
oh, you know, it just, you know, I'm just speaking really in
Yeah, we
sort
can
of
circle back to that
archetypes here,
later,
but
very
yeah,
specifically.
You know, you have your gold stored up for just such an occasion, and then you look at yourself in the mirror 20 years later and you realize, well, never did get around to following that treasure map, did I? Now, that's not to complain. If anything, the time went by so fast because I loved what I was doing. But you know, if history is your point of expertise, you know, a lot of what makes the history is conflict. And I found that time after time, conflict beget conflict, and it seemed that anything you solved with regicide or a bloody revolt or, well, it always came back to visit you somehow. And I suppose I just lost my taste for it.
But what you're saying is that violence has consequences? But that's the whole point of it. Like, I love to consequence a guy right out of my way.
Well, you might find yourself capable, and I don't know, maybe the young, strapping starfucker of 30 years ago would have thought the same thing, but I'm an older man now, Perrin, and my bones don't hold the strength that they once did. I'm not sure my physical actions, at least when leveraged against someone else, mano a mano as it were, would have much of an impact.
But, like, you could pay me and I could mano-a-mano someone, you know?
Well, see, now we're getting into the fuzzy rules of pacifism,
Right.
which is
That's what I want to understand. You see, I don't know if you quite noticed my whole thing here, but the fuzzy lines in between, what I'm mostly concerned with is that fuzziness, you know?
Perrin, give me an investigation check during this time here at the... And I will say anyone else that has been joining Perrin at the Tavern can give me an investigation check, too, to kind of read the locals that have been coming through.
That's 21 for me. Yeah, I think in general, parents like trying to hold down a home base. Everybody's kind of going out doing their own thing, but presumably cycling kind of in and out as
I feel
befits.
Fauna definitely would be there every now and then. Not like the whole time like Perrin, but definitely drop in to check on Perrin.
Perfect. Yeah, anyone who's stopping by, go ahead and give me an investigation check.
Well, I got 9.
Yeah, Atticus probably would not be there in this moment.
Yeah.
I got a 28.
Jesus Christ. Okay. We had a 9, we had a 28. Was that a 21 or a 22 from Perrin?
21.
21 from Perrin. Okay.
It's a
Fauna-
3 from Nyx, but I feel like they're kind of off in the corner anyways and only like half listening, so.
Did you say a 3 or a 23?
A 3.
Okay. On a 3, Nix, you've discovered that in the wee hours of the morning here at the tavern in the chapel, there is an adorable family of like small sort of tan mice that come out from a corner of the bar and will scavenge sort of whatever crumbs they can and then scurry them back into the wall. Fauna, on the 9, you have learned that they have this particular broth here at the Tavern in the Chapel that is absolutely delicious. There's some sort of very, just very effervescent South green herb that is added to this. You're not sure if it's like a type of grass or a leaf or something, but it is, if something tasted green, this would be it. It's like all on the high notes, and it's intensely satisfying, very pungent as you sip it. And what you've learned on your 9 is that if you ask nicely, Kurt has informed you that no matter the bartender's there, if you ask nice enough, they'll crack an egg into it for you before they serve it, and it just sort of cooks in the broth. And it's delicious, makes it a little more substantial.
Is there a little bit of crusty bread with it?
Oh, for fucking sure there's crusty bread. Crusty bread
Fauna's
for
definitely
days.
Just eating soup at the tavern. Like, she's not really doing anything else. She's just eating soup.
Beautiful. Okay. Let's see. Perrin. Your check is pretty good. What I'm going to give you is that give me a persuasion check with that too, real quick.
Even better. 23.
Okay. On a 23, Perrin, there is a particular, about 2 weeks into this, when there is obviously some sort of noble or highborn that shows up. The Tavern at the Chapel is not unaccustomed to seeing, there's a wider variety of like economic groups that filter through this tavern. But, when a highborn from St. Florian comes in, it stands out a little bit because the wealthy here in St. Florian are exceedingly wealthy. There's a man who comes in about 2 weeks in, a little monocle, large white kind of bristly mustache that almost hides the mouth, shorter white hair that kind of just like all in tight curls and almost like puffs to the side a little bit. A little bit more, he's probably around like 5'7", 5'8", and about like 250 pounds. He clearly lives a life of considerable means here in St. Florian. And he comes in one night and sits down at the bar. Apparently he's been in a few times before because Kurt pretty quickly starts up a familiar conversation with him. And as they are speaking, you pick up that this particular man is in charge of the St. Florian's Day Ball, the masquerade that happens on the actual day of St. Florian, which is celebrated at the end of the month. It is not easy to, I will say, kind of outside of just so you know party information, it would not be hard for Atticus to leverage his title and get an invite to this. The rest of you, Atticus could bring an entourage, but if Atticus is trying to keep a low profile here in St. Florian, obviously that name can't be leveraged to get into. It would be a hefty sum and talking to a lot of the right people to get the group into the St. Florian's Day Ball. In this moment, Perrin, you see an opportunity. It is sort of being served up to you on a platter. As this guy's been here now for about an hour and a half, and he's getting pretty toasted as he sort of sits there.
What would be the general guideline from Atticus, Sean, on how to approach the situation as far as names go?
For like getting into the masquerade ball?
Yeah, I mean, I think Perrin would have double checked, like, hey man, this is your neighborhood. Should we name drop you constantly, like whenever we want to drink?
Yeah, I mean, use it if you
Fuck
got
yeah.
it, man. But for sure, we're going to the ball. I'm gonna make sure that happens.
All right. Well, if I ever see an opportunity at any point to talk our way into more invites, I'll for sure do that.
Yeah, just throw the Phoenix name out there. I mean,
Yeah. As Perrin is sitting in the bar in present day,
Yeah.
Perrin goes, "Yeah, my best friend Atticus Phoenix, well-known playboy and professional knight and just general, party
I'm
party
sorry,
in a box."
young man. Did you
What?
say you're a friend of Atticus Phoenix?
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought I was over here having a private conversation. Silly me. But yes, I did.
I apologize. It's just, you pick up on when you've been going to bars as long as I have.
Oh,
find you,
yeah,
you easily
You
can
sly
pick up on the
dog,
conversations
yeah,
of other
mhm.
patrons.
It's a high skill thing you just did. I was being
Apologize,
very,
I've
very
got a
quiet.
very keen ear.
Right.
Can you perhaps get me another one of the shrimp ales, please? Just top it off there.
Kurt, make sure you give him one of the one of your specials. You know what I mean. You know what I mean.
Kurt gives you a nod and puts a little.
I say I've not had this. Is that a little float of Marnier on the top? Oh, that's delicious. I apologize, my friend. I've not introduced myself. My name is Wilfred Cilantro. An organizer here in St. Florian, and one of the chief board members for the St. Florian's Day Ball. And
Fascinating.
you, my friend,
I haven't introduced myself either.
excuse me, I
And Perrin
have not. Who do I have the
Perrin-
pleasure of speaking to?
turns around and leans his elbow on the bar, and with that same hand, he pulls open the flap of his coat to reveal his deputy badge and whatever other shiny shit he's shoved in there, as well as the the cloak, the portion of the cloak, and he's like, "I am a deputy of Atticus Phoenix,
Above my
and also a
heavens.
deputy of whatever that town was."
Give me a deception check real quick, but do it with advantage.
Imago. Wait, what am I deceiving? I am a deputy of Imago. I have the badge.
Yeah, that's true.
That's
You do-
real.
Yeah,
That's
you're right.
legally binding.
You're right.
You made a
deception.
mistake.
Yeah, no,
well, you
no
said
deception.
deputy of Atticus Phoenix, and I was like, what does that
right.
mean?
Well, that's fine. He understands
You're
what I'm
stretching
saying.
it a little bit. You got a really good persuasion roll. Wilfred's all
Well,
in.
if you really want to know, it was a 25 deception. So all I'm really trying to say here is, if you've got any trouble and you're gonna bring it into this bar, you're gonna end up arrested. You know what I mean?
I can see you've got an eye for the troublemakers. I've been known to going to a few china shops in my day.
Of course. Now, Mr. Cilantro, can I call you Mr. Cilantro? Do you prefer Sil?
Please,
Cilantro?
Wilfred is fine. We're friends at this point.
It gives you just a hearty pat on the back.
Right, Mr. Wilfred. So what does it look like to be on a board for a ball?
A board for a ball. Well, I mean, there's the decor to think of. It's important that the St. Florian's Day Ball reflect a certain amount of, how do you say it? Modernity and class. So, we try
I know
to
all
make
about
sure,
both of those.
We try to make, I can see you're a man of culture indeed. We try to make sure that...
Perrin tucks one of his blood pockets away.
We try to make sure... let me get that for you. We try to make sure that everyone in attendance, is, well, up to date on the latest fashions, trends, what so forth, and have you.
Naturally.
A shining example of how the tastemakers we have here in St. Florian. I'm sure you understand.
Now, I don't know if you've heard of this new fashion trend. You see on that hook on the wall right over there, they call that a backpack. It's a high fashion item from the north. I don't know if it's made it this far south. You guys are a little behind.
A backing pack, you say?
Correct.
But-
I don't know if you've got one designed yet for the ball, but you should get on top of it.
I see the potential for it already. Why, it seems... Magda, do you think, though, that perhaps the ear flaps should be a little shorter so it stays nestled on one's head in order to properly protect from the sun?
Not at all. No, you want
No.
it flapping. You're
I
showing the world
see.
how much you can flap. Fashion isn't about practicality.
No, of course,
I worry
of
that
course,
you
of
didn't
course.
know that.
No, of course.
Concerns me.
You see, he's just going to kind of get off his seat and toddle over to the backpack that you have left on the hook.
You don't mind if I try it on?
By all means.
He puts it on his head and tries to get the flat. It doesn't really work until he like crosses the straps a little bit and sort of tucks them under his ears. So it's pulling the ears up kind of as the weight just sort of slouches back on his head and kind of pulls his face a little taut. As this is going on, Vox, you got a 28 on your investigation check. You are sitting kind of towards the back, same table that Perrin is usually sat at to gather information when he's not up at the bar being a little more proactive on things. And you are, listen, I think the 28 investigation check, you don't have to roll perception to pick this up because that's what the investigation check is for. A couple patrons come in. They sit there kind of talking about the day's work, for the first 45 minutes or so. And then the topic of conversation changes as you see one of them leaning in kind of close to the other. Did you ever hear the legend about what they got under here, underneath the chapel? The kind of looks to be like it's a human, some sort of kind of like shaggy black eyebrows, sort of has the like soot caked on him, like the look of maybe like a smith or something. Is just got soot stains all kind of over the apron too, and like smudges from hands. You can see like singed fascia that has almost like been singed back and is pretty like keeps it cropped pretty close, but is a lot more inebriated than his companion, so he just kind of gives a grunt and mutters, head still looking down at the table. Well, they say, back when the sacking happened around 30 years ago, they had to rebuild this whole chapel from the ground up, but they say that underneath the chapel, not too far outside of St. Florian, there's a cavern of sorts. Nothing unusual to find here in the South Green. Little hole in the ground, goes back, so far. But they say this one goes back real far. Branches out in tunnels underneath the city, spread out like a network. And one of them tunnels leads to a catacomb, or so they say, right here underneath the chapel itself, and pretty dark dealings, or so the rumor goes. You ever looked around, tried to find a way down into them catacombs? You see, the other just shakes his head. Well, I mean, you come here to the drink all the time. Just makes you wonder what ghosts are running around underneath the floorboards and what have you. He goes, and they just kind of go into silence at this point. But that is the conversation that you overhear. 28.
Having exhausted the pre-recorded dialogue, the NPCs return to silence.
Wind's howling.
Click A again. I want to hear it over again.
You gotta walk out of the area and come back in.
Yeah, and then you might get a different one.
Perrin is gonna lean in closer to Cilantro, and he's like, "So tell me, have you thought about security for this ball?"
I mean, usually it's just the town guard we have around. We'll hire out a few. Private security, certainly we have a doorman, as it were, that will be privately obtained at the board's discretion, but for security, I'll be honest, it's not something, for my station, it's not something I give a lot of thought to.
Well, let me tell you, from my station, you're in for a shit world of hurt if you don't. Haven't you heard there's an invasion going on north of here?
My God, an invasion?
There's war everywhere, sir.
War everywhere? How? Where? Who? Are we in danger?
Well, I mean, danger's one way, danger's another thing. I don't know if you heard about just north of here, there was an entire cult spring out of the woodwork. All the household servants turned on their masters. There were stabbings. There were explosions. There was death.
Unthinkable. My God.
It was the cooks. It was the doormen.
The cooks.
It was the normal staff. It was your everyday, you might say, your go-to staff.
My God.
So, sir, if that's the only security you have, whew.
My God, we don't even have a vetting process for the help. I can't.
No, you don't. I don't think you have any vets in town at all. You barely have a doctor.
Atticus is going to walk into the tavern at this point after their dealings.
Oh, I'm going to make
no.
a little perception check for Wilfred Cilantro here. Yeah, it's an 8. Wilfred doesn't notice. He's
now,
fully
if you
engaged.
wanted to keep your social engagement completely safe, I can suggest the safe way to go, the correct way to go.
Please, I'm all ears, of course.
The merest price for expenses only, really. For 1,000 gold, I can field a undercover security team. You'll never even know they're there. The party will be safe as can be. War will never touch it. In a place like this, 1,000 gold is a trifle. That's merely to get the clothing.
Yeah,
of course.
Pocket change.
I would just need 30 tickets to enter, and then we can. You know what? You know what? We could probably make it do with a small. Do you want a light team? Let's call it 6 tickets and a children's ticket.
Only the best. Only the best.
Of course.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, it's the children's ticket is for the best. It's not for a child. Let me tell you that.
Yes.
Undercover. You know what I mean?
We had a child security team. I can tell you there'd be more than one.
Atticus went
firing from
immediately
the
to
board
where Nyx is sitting and just sat next to them and is watching this all happen. Like, just seeing what Perrin is doing. And, leans over like...
Perrin is while he's clapping this guy on the back.
We can just go to this thing.
Perrin is going to reach into this guy's pocket and try to pickpocket him.
Give me a sleight of hand.
Nyx is gonna wordlessly pass over their glass to Atticus, and also like a tiny bit of the bread that they've been crumbling up and like throwing towards the little mouse hole while watching and like listening to all of it. Like, shoot, ruined the show.
That's a dirty 20.
Okay. That far and away beats Wilfred's passive perception. On a dirty 20, Perrin, you find a gold person there with a few, we'll say gold ingot pieces totaling. I mean, it totals about 3,000 in gold pieces. These 3 little sort of like bars or ingots.
Perrin is going to slap it down in front of him with his other hand.
Oh, my God. Friend, you appear to have dropped a bag.
Nope. That's your bag, sir.
My
you see
bag.
what I mean? Could someone get a weapon into your party? If they can't even get that past me, you didn't even notice.
You see, with some effort, due to the amount of drink, he reaches down and gets it, sort of takes a moment to collect himself.
Now, you're a
And then
highly
leans
astute,
over.
highly skilled individual, and you didn't even notice.
I didn't even notice. Whatever you need. Can you get a team together?
Aaron leans in really close, and he says, I'll get the best. The journeymans are on the job.
Oh, thank God. Journeyman's. His name sounds familiar for some reason. I can't quite place it. No matter. Yes. The best.
But it will be 1,000 gold.
Yes, well, of course. Well, 1,000 gold.
And in addition to that, I'll tell you, if you slip things back in the pot, there's a couple other things that you find. Or I should say, not a couple. There's one other thing that you find. In Wilfred's pocket, you find a small ring of keys.
I mean, hell with it. I'll keep the keys.
Okay. You keep the keys. Wilfred looks to you.
But Faro stayed with too much to do there. The ball happens at the end of the month and a lot of planning. But my friend is Deputy Meliamne, was it?
Right.
I'll trust you then. Perhaps come by my residence.
You see, just pulls out a small sort of little card that just has his name and address written on it. Hands it over to you.
You look me up. If you need anything at all before the ball, too.
Of course.
Feel free to look me up. Otherwise, I suppose I should see you the day of the ball. I hope it's not being too demanding. Perhaps show up several hours before the festivities.
Right, of course, naturally. That way we can get the lay of the land.
Yes. Well, then, Deputy Meliamne, actually, I'm sorry, I've forgotten your hat. Might I?
Yeah, no, I want that back.
Yes, I don't suppose I could talk you out of it for some pocket change.
That was made by a pretty famous designer.
Prototype and all. Yes, no, of course.
Right.
How much?
Right.
How much I must have it?
10,000.
Roll me one more persuasion check here.
Why are you letting me do that? 25.
10,000. I don't want to be.
Tell you what. We could call it a rental for 1,500.
A rental? Perhaps for the day. Yes, of course.
Of course.
Yes, you see, hands you 2 of the ingots.
If that's all right, I'll keep. You can. I'll return it after the ball if 2,000 is acceptable for.
Right.
Mr. Malaframne, if you please.
And he tips the backpack to you and goes stumbling out of the tavern at the chapel.
Perrin is gonna wave down whatever local child has been running errands for him, and he's gonna give him 3 coppers and be like, "Will you send the leather worker back over? Because I am gonna need him to make those extra backpacks." He'd quoted, I think, 10 gold apiece.
You'd see there's a small, fairly rare. You don't see them often certainly it would have to be a larger city, but a small blue tiefling who is sort of like wearing a little cap where the horns just like barely poke out underneath the cap, takes takes the coppers and gives you a little nod and scurries out.
Say hi to your parents.
Oh, for sure! And runs out.
From the corner table, Nyx is just slow clapping Perrin.
Perrin goes and joins them and sits down. He's like, I did it. I don't know what I did, but it happened.
What? I mean, I came in late. What exactly were you doing?
Well, I think we're working private security for the ball now, and also I just rented him my backpack for 1 day for 1,500 gold, and I'm gonna have like 20 more made for 100 gold. So all kind of evens out. But if it cashes on in fashion, I'm gonna sell a bunch more
for a masquerade ball.
He actually has security. It's irrelevant to us. We're just gonna be hanging out.
Heard. Well,
a masquerade
just to
ball.
recap,
Why would you need security?
I made a list of the stuff Atticus did within the 3 weeks, and one of the things was met with city officials to get passes for the masquerade ball.
Beautiful.
So that's all and to like talk about what was going on. But
yeah, I mean,
like,
I'll tell you right now, if Atticus is is okay letting people know that he's here and in town, without, you don't even have to make a roll for it, without question. Like, the city officials would have given you whatever group you are within reason, but like access to you all have invites.
Yeah. Well, shoot, when is that ball? I don't even know what day it's on.
Kurt is going to walk over. We got about I'd say a week or so left until the ball.
Such a vague starting time that it's a week or so. Specific occasion.
Yeah.
All right. Well, look,
I mean, you know how we roll.
It depends.
In St. Florian.
Do you count today when you count days, or are you counting starting tomorrow?
I think most people usually count starting from when you're starting from. Is usually what I've heard.
Well, all right, Deputy Meliomne. I start my count the day. So starting the day after, we have 8 days to go until the St. Florian's Day ball.
We should probably talk to that tailor that we hired and get our clothes cut, huh?
Yeah. What, Perrin? Have you just been hanging out in the tavern all this time?
Been taking
what
meetings.
Have you been up to?
Perrin pulls out a large scroll of notes that he's made. I know about every affair that's happening in the city.
Well, please share.
Like a fair
if you
or
don't
a
mind.
fair?
Exactly. Now you know what I've been doing. Also, when did you get here?
As Bert...
Me? I've just been eating soup.
Yeah, I
this
think
whole
you've all, yeah.
time. I was here the whole time.
Bert
eating
soup
soup
is coming
at
in
the
like
bar.
Bert is coming in the doors to the tavern at the chapel now. Still wearing the cowboy hat, but just looks dirty, like just smudged with soot, and is going to, like, with a heavy sigh, sit down next to you. I'll tell you what Perrin doesn't know how to do is a hard day's work. Oh, guys, I'm tired. Hey, Kurt.
Fuck you too, Bert.
Kurt, can I get another one of them shrimp ales? Whew, being a Smith's apprentice is being a difficult road.
He's been hitting metal with other pieces of metal.
You've been a Smith's apprentice?
Well, we figured the best way to get intel was to see what have fingers in every pie we could. So I've been out there with the common folk, and I signed up with a Smith a couple days ago. Always been something I've been interested in. I just, I never had the time at all being a frog in a meadow until,
This feels like something Perrin heavily encouraged.
Bert, what Smith are you signed up with?
Oh, I'm kind of broad, silent fella. Has a kind of a sooty beard, and it comes in here a fair amount. Brought me in here on the first night. That's why I ended up coming here. Lo and behold, I guess we haven't been talking enough back at the house, because I didn't even know Kurt worked here until I showed up. That was sure a pleasant surprise.
We've barely seen you, Bert.
Well,
it's been a great couple weeks, hasn't it?
He ain't a squire no more. I mean, he can do his own. He's a knight. He doesn't have to be around all the time. I might be worried sick about my boy, but I still, I know he's out there doing it. So what intel have you gotten so far?
Well, I've learned that when you're preparing a metal to be worked into an instrument or a weapon, it's very important actually to leave some of the impurities in the metal, because an alloy, it makes for a stronger tool or what have you at the end of the smithing process. And you got to get that
great,
fire
Bert.
pretty hot to.
What have you learned about what's going on? What are the inner workings?
About the thing you asked me. Well,
Bert sort of looks around, and then I think the quickest point of access to you, Atticus, is Bert sort of just like gets up onto the bar and crawls like on all fours over, so he's right next to your ear.
Yeah, I know that thing you asked me about, Atticus. I ain't seen hide nor hair of your fella, Burgeon. Obviously he's probably not going to be in the smithing district with everyone else, but I've been asking around and no one's heard of. I was careful not to mention Black Forge or anything related to our particular nasty bird, but I'm sorry, Atticus. I just no luck yet.
We'll find him. It'll happen eventually.
Yeah.
So wait, is Vox around or is Vox gone?
Vox will come on over. I think that in the 3 weeks, Vox has been doing a self-defense class, a free self-defense class in the town for everyone.
Awesome.
All of the things she's teaching them is offensive techniques to stab people in the back.
Yeah.
Mostly.
I'm going to say
offense is the best defense, right?
Yeah, there's not a great check for this, but I think it's a check that you would be proficient at, and you can use your. I'll let you use your intelligence or your dexterity bonus, whichever one you want, plus your proficiency bonus, which is 4, and just give me a d20 roll to see how well this self-defense class has gone.
That's a 25.
Okay. Yeah. You, from day one, so you've had a devoted group of people showing up to this class, and we're almost 3 weeks into you being here in St. Florian now. At this point, the class, people attending have told friends, and those have become devotees, and they have told friends. At this point, you rolled a 25. You are at 25 regular, I'll call them students, that are showing up every day to a room in the.
Nice.
Let me ask this too, just so we kind of have a grounds for this. Atticus, you're fine using your name, so not only are you leveraging your name, but you're also able to access. The Phoenix family has pretty sizable coffers here in St. Florian, where you keep a lot of gold back in the mansion, but you also keep accounts here in St. Florian. Even though you have informed officials that you're here in town and you haven't been disguising yourself, are you trying to keep a lower profile, and have you just sort of rented out a house nearby the chapel, or are you staying at one of the swankier places in St. Florian and sort of living it up, everyone with their own suite? And
No, Atticus wouldn't go for a swanky spot. He's kind of in war mindset now, so he's been spending the last 3 weeks levying debts owed for mercenaries to protect the town, and meeting with officials to let them know findings. He's probably in one of the keeps in the city or something like that, or with everyone, just so he's not an easy target just in case something happens.
Okay.
So he's definitely been on council mode of taking meetings with families of higher statures, with the Knights Guard, temples, any of that stuff, to really just hit home what's going on and all that.
Great. So you've got some of the more important people in the city on high alert for what's going on, which is, I think, ties back to that's why it's odd that there's been no one the activities of the remnants at Ward have been an increasing thing and it is like after the attack on the mansion, all activity has gone silent. No former members can be found. There were, at this point, several spots in St. Florian that were sort of known for being gathering places for the remnants. No one has checked into these places. They have gone vacant. So you've been renting a house. Vox, I think you've out of like this house that you're sort of all staying at near the chapel. There's just the sort of this upstairs. There's this attic space, but there's these beautiful skylights in it that sort of let the sun for most of the day filter in, and they can sort of be like cracked it to like you can allow fresh air to sort of come in and out of the attic so it doesn't get too humid or sweltering up here. And this is where you've been holding your classes. And
Perrin slices a couple names off of his scroll, like that he scribbled down, and hands them to Vox. And like, yeah, I think these are a few more people who might, good potential recruits. I heard this one's in a little bit of a domestic situation, and he kind of like explains 2 or 3 names of why they might be interested in self-defense.
cool.
Again, I'm not recruiting anyone. Everyone gets to just come here as they please.
All right. But these are 3 good recruits.
Okay. Hold on just 1 second.
I think Fauna has been taking some of Vox's classes too, just because
Cool.
she doesn't have a lot of battle experience or like hand-to-hand combat experience.
Yeah.
So she's like trying to learn new skills,
Okay.
like close.
If
skills.
Nyx wasn't too busy, Atticus probably asked them to like come on a lot of the stuff with them, just as like I think they know they're of some importance. I don't know if you fully revealed your story yet, but I know you're
Not
of some
quite, but,
importance. So I would ask like them to come on these.
I mean, I think we all know Nyx was at least highborn enough to know these conversations.
yeah.
Like that's everybody knows that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
they're
And they look badass as fuck, so the people know this shit is serious.
they'd for sure go along with that. I think in general that they've kind of similar to how Cletus like went back to kind of diving into underground and trying to learn what he can. Nyx also did that and kind of running the odd job, trying to like revive old contacts, build their own, and like lurking around the tavern. But while Cletus is focusing on like maybe career criminals, Nyx would be more towards like trying to endear themselves with like any Kenku in St. Florian, because like they've learned that they're probably like one of the most efficient like grapevines of information and trade. And also kind of like with what money that they've hoarded, which they actually have a lot now because they just don't spend it on anything. They've been like paying and amassing their own little network of like orphans and street rats and the kind of like kids that run around everywhere and are so street smart and hear everything, but nobody notices them or like sees them as a threat. So I think they have their own little like almost like Baker Street irregulars style of like kids coming and going and telling them what they learn.
Give me a persuasion check with advantage real quick, and I'm gonna roll a little luck check here. Okay.
I feel like Nyx would be one of the people parents taking meetings for too, especially for any of the smuggling network stuff. He's like kind of dropping hints that he's like investing money in smuggling, so he's kind of helping her play contacts that way.
Cool.
Nice. I got an 18 on the first roll, and that's a 12 on the second one, so 18 persuasion.
Okay. 18 persuasion is very good. This network is working, and again, it is feeding you the information that it is unusual. Like, I think all of your intel, and there were a few very high investigation checks, and so I'm going to tell you that, like, you're getting this information that there appear to be no traces of the remnants of Ward. It is unusual for a group of this size, and like people certainly, like, once you start kind of sifting into like the underpinnings of St. Florian, you find a lot of people that do know about the cult. But it's like they just packed up and left. And if that's true, that the majority, if not all, of the cult was sent to the ambush on the manor, there's like, it's odd for an enemy to leave themselves no defense or no agents in a place.
Yeah, well, my kids haven't heard anything of note, at least. Which, speaking of Kurt, can I have the day olds again?
Hey, not a problem. Let me head on into the back and see what I can sort you. Kurt is going to head back there. Vox, we're going to cut. We're going to cut to a moment. You are teaching these classes. You've been at it at this point. We're going to jump back a little bit from where we're at now. You've been at this for about 2 weeks, and it's growing. You know, there's almost 24 people here in attendance. They're coming regularly. I mean, the age range is everything from, like, there are probably several, I think, late teens to early 20s that actually, like, came because when you started putting out missives to try and track down activity from the remnants of Ward, there were several survivals of either attacks from these cult members or people who were attempted to recruited and denied, who show up to your classes to, like, learn how to defend themselves should something like this happen again. But the age kind of ranges from, like, late teens to early 20s all the way up to, like, there's been a shopkeep woman that was alive and sort of like at the sacking of St. Florian when it happened, and her shop was one of the ones that burned to the ground, and she built it again from the ground, and she is a tough old woman, and she is here because she's tired of not feeling safe. But I will say 2 weeks into teaching these classes, shortly after, like, you're just kind of finishing one up and everyone has sort of excused yourselves and you're taking a moment, like, Brightburn is up here, sort of like, Brightburn is always, like, sitting, unless needed for a demonstration in the class or something. Brightburn is usually just sort of sitting, like, in the corner watching. And you see as Brightburn is, like, sort of getting ready to lay down and take a nap in the afternoon sun that is coming through the skylights, you see his ears perk up and he looks over to the entrance. And following his gaze, you see a familiar face, a young woman standing at the entrance to the room. Simple, kind of gray commoner's clothing, a tunic with, like, a neck that is a little frayed and strings that are a little too loose. Ill-fitting kind of wooden clogs. Somebody that looks like they've had a rough time of it over the last couple weeks, and this is about as capable as they are of putting themselves together. They kind of have, like, looks like they've almost, like, taken a knife to, like, cut their hair shorter, and it hits right about the jawline, and they've given themselves some bangs so that their eyes are clear and they can see. But you recognize the face of the girl that you gave the blade to back in the manor. And she is standing there looking into the space with you.
So you did make it out.
It took me a while to get back here. I didn't know where else to go. And I came here to come home, and on the journey here realized I didn't really have a home to go back to. Everything.
It seems like those cultists kind of packed up and vanished.
Yeah. I understand if you want me to leave, if you don't want me here. I tried to kill you.
Tried to kill me. Didn't quite kill me. And last I remembered, I did give you a second chance. Now, this class is for anyone to take. And it's free to all to learn some self-defense so that we don't need to be dragged into cult activities or never feel trapped and scared.
Will you teach me?
Do you still have the blade?
She pulls it out from a little, like, hidden stash behind her belt.
Don't just hand it to me, use it.
On you? She looks over
Try
at Brightburn,
to.
who is just, like, sitting there watching. Okay. I'm gonna make a little attack. She's hesitant, so I'm gonna make this attack roll with disadvantage. 16 though, and a 16 and a 17 on the die though. It does amount to though only a total of 18. What's Vox's AC?
It's 16. But I think that Vox would be doing a lot of like acrobatics as it being self-defense to try to teach people how to get out of it. But she'll get hit. She's not afraid of being hit. I think it's helpful.
Yeah, I think she comes in with the knife and you sort of go to sidestep it, and then you see she quickly brings it up to like almost use that, like it was almost like a feint, and then she brings the handle up to and she gets you like underneath the chin, and then, I'm sorry.
No. That's what this is for. You're doing great. You almost really got me there.
I feel like I can always do the first one, and then I just sort of freeze after that. So
you can't freeze. You just have to follow through.
Okay. And Fox, if you're willing, you do spend the rest of the afternoon up here with. Did I mention? I don't think.
No, we didn't.
She ever
name
gave
her.
her name? Yeah. You spend the rest of the afternoon with Vera Saffron, up here, in the attic.
Saffron.
Teaching
We're in our
self-defense.
Space herb era.
Yeah.
The long and saffron.
I will tell you that she, for like, it's, you've got about another week now to catch you up to the time that you're at now when you're sitting at the bar here with everyone. Every day she shows up an hour early and is always the last to leave, like helping to clean. And you can give me a perception check or an insight check.
Insight. Haha, dirty 20 on insight.
Vera is a quick learner, and she watches you like a hawk. So much so that there is a time, like, you've noticed that there is, like, kind of every day Vera stays like a little later and like keep asking for like extra stuff to do, like if there's things to help with the house, sort of as a like, well, let me give something back. But there is a point where you realize one time when you come back from the tavern that Vera is still up there. It's like 2:00 in the morning and Vera is still up there, just kind of like curled up in the corner, asleep. Like no pillow or blankets, or just kind of like sleeping on the ground. And you see Brightburn sort of sleeping next to, just sort of like on her feet. But as you get up, like she doesn't wake up, but Brightburn looks at you and kind of perks his ears up and then looks down at Vera before looking back to you. Vox?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Vox would just she's still aggressive. Vox isn't really good at people. I think that she would just be like, hey, and snap and like clap and wake her up and grab her
Oh my God,
and like
I'm so sorry.
start to drag her out and be like, come, no more sleeping in here.
I'm so sorry.
Vox would no, don't, just follow me. And Vox would put her in Vox's room. If you need to sleep, sleep in the bed. I need you rested. You've already been helping with all the other people training, and you need proper rest. And also, what would it look like if someone came up there and just saw you sleeping up there? Just get some rest.
You can see as you say this,
you can
like
sleep.
her hands are at her sides, and Brightburn comes up and just kind of licks at her palm, and she doesn't say anything. She just starts crying and she gives you a big hug.
Oh, okay. Yeah, sleep in here for now.
Okay.
I'll figure out some more arrangements. No, don't be sorry. Just stay tough.
Okay. Yeah.
And Brightburn's gonna stay in here with you tonight, please. He needs some affection. So much needier as a dog.
Brightburn looks it up you and
Yeah, I think Vox would like rub his ear and be like, it's true. You're so much needier. So much cuter though.
Brightburn trots over like right next to the bed in the corner and curls up, lays down. And Veer's gonna go and lay down. We're back in the tavern. Yeah.
Vox would have, as she fallen asleep, found some new clothes for Vera and just like laid them at the foot of the bed.
Cool.
Like, even if I had to go spend money on it, I will spend the money and get her like a whole new traveling outfit.
Yeah, I love that. I will to do the fair gold, take 5 gold pieces out of your inventory, but
take it out of the 1,000 that you stole from the rest of the party and then never mentioned again.
I will say this actually,
it's not
Vox, you
stealing if no one remembers
spend the 5.
I don't think that's how that works.
You can spend the 5 on just like a much nicer set of clothes, or if you want to spend if you want to spend 35, you can get like a set of like sort of studded leather armor that can go on underneath the clothes too, as like a further.
Yeah, she would spend the 35.
Cool.
She wants her to be a tough cookie.
Also, I gave you 1,000 gold at Phoenix Manor, so
yeah.
God, you're right. You gave all of us 1,000.
I never put that 1,000 in my inventory, so thank you.
Well, yeah. Now put 965, and you leave the set of armor. Yeah, I think there's before we cut back to the bar, there's a moment where you like come up early and you catch Vera Vox like practicing early. She's like doing her rolls and stuff, like rolls into cuts and leg sweeps up in the attic, and you see like not even just wearing the armor fully like out in the open. And there's a moment where her back is turned to you, and she like gets up she slashes across and takes a moment, and you just hear her say, "Don't freeze, don't freeze," and she continues in her exercises. I know that there was there might have been other stuff that people mentioned they were doing that I lost the thread on. I know we've got the network established of sweet little and some not so sweet of sort of orphans, and then some of the lighter fare of the ne'er-do-wells here in St. Florian that you've created a network with, Nyx. Was there anything else that anyone else was doing that I didn't get to?
Perrin put an order in on something that I sent you a message about.
Oh, cool. Was there anything else for anyone?
Yeah, I don't think I didn't say it yet, but I think Fauna, I mean, she took some classes and stuff, but I think she spent a decent amount of her time so far in the city just like looking to see if she could find other witches to meet and like learn from, since she hasn't been in a lot of big cities and had a chance to meet like other, witches. So that's probably what she would have spent some of her time on. And also, like, Cletus is clearly on one right now, so she's just like trying to give him some space. So she wouldn't be like, hanging on and following him around. She would just be like trying to do her own thing.
Yeah. I will say this, other than like notes and check-ins like left from Cletus, no one has actually seen Cletus's face since you've gotten here to St. Florian. He is like gone dark.
Okay, well that's like more worrying. I feel like maybe she would have tried to at least find out what he was up to.
Okay.
He's just sitting on rooftops
hadn't
wearing a
seen him.
cowl and going, I am the darkness. I am the night.
Yeah.
I am St. Florian's vengeance.
I am Giant Man. Give me one more investigation check. And this is going to be to track down Cletus and to like try and find other. I would say if you want to, it's an investigation check for sure for Cletus. But if you wanted to, you could make it an Arcana check to try and find another coven.
Okay, yeah, definitely Arcana for that part.
Cool.
Because I'm not so good on investigation. 10 investigation.
Okay.
And, well, that was a terrible roll. 11 Arcana.
Okay. On a 10 and 11, Fauna, you
Wait,
find...
can I get advantage from the cat? Because, like, the cat would be helping me sleuth things out.
Or
For
from
sure.
parents' contacts,
Yeah.
because, again, that is basically what I'm committing my entire time to, is being an accessory.
Yeah,
to
you know what?
everything
That's
no one
fair.
else
So the cat can
Make
give you
yourself
advantage
useful,
on one, and Perrin is giving you advantage on another. So you can do them both with advantage.
Okay. Okay, so that time I got 16 on investigation. And 23 on Arcana.
Okay. Cool. On both those results, Fauna, you are able to find both the things that you are looking for, and we will cover what those are when we come back. We're going to take our little 10-minute break, and when we come back, we will get to the results of those rolls. So we'll be back in 10.
Spies vastness space, where endless rooms and prisons or the 3-year company did meet, where death's cold touch did stall. Atticus, the last phoenix, led with flaming sword. Fauna found her magic bloom, and Perrin opened unseen doors. Asparia's salted halls, they cast off Balic's grasping curse. Vox the bear helped Ava rise, justice is her knife. Nyx did wax and wane and wax, through shadows did they weave. Their names are whispered in the street, there is night's break, there goes Mira's bane. Of heroes brave and true, through the trials they will be known, from dread spire's fall to phoenix call. The 3-year company, old and true, fate-bound courts of old and new, from the golden shores to nightland's walls. heroes marbled stone, they fought a court's foul scheme, a bargaining of memories. Loyal bird became a queen. To unbroken green they roamed, where ancient magic sing. At Phoenix Manor's gates they stand, champions of destiny. These five bound in ancient lore, forged by wordbreak of old, they walk through a broken world that they would see reborn. The wizard has yet bound their souls to 3 years and a day, but nothing will consume the sea as the filth king has his way. Sing of heroes brave and true, through the trials they will be known. From the Norse lost heart to Orshot stone walls. 3-year company, bold and true, fate-bound courts of old and new. From the Feywild to the citrus isles. Shadows grace, and darkness finds their mind. The last phoenix rising from the flames, glory shines so bright. The mystic hope, a beacon high, through storms and trials brave. Air of flowers, life's pure song, with failed strength in vain. The voice of tides, with waters deep, wields the rights of salt and sea. Together bound in legend's light, the fates in harmony. Spies vastness space, or endless rooms and prisons, or the 3-year company did meet, where death's cold touch did stall. Atticus, the last phoenix, led with flame and sword. Fauna found her magic bloom, barren opened unseen doors. Maria's salted halls, they cast off Balic's grasping curse. Box the bear helped Ava rise, justice is her knife. Nix did wax and wane and wax, through shadows did they weave. Their names are whispered in the street, there is night's break, there goes Mira's bane. Heroes brave and true, through the trials they will be known. sparks fall to Phoenix call. A 3-year company, bold and true. Fate-bound courts of old and new. From the golden shores to Nightland's walls. Marbled stone, they fought a court's foul scheme, a bargaining of memories. Loyal bird became a queen. To unbroken green they roamed, where ancient magic sing. At Phoenix Manor's gates they stand, champions of destiny. These 5 bound in ancient lore, forged by wordbreak of old. They walk through a broken world that they would see reborn. The wizard has yet bound their souls to 3 years and a day. But nothing will consume the sea as the Filth King has his way. Sing of heroes brave and true. Through the trials they will be known. From the North's lost heart to Orshot stone walls. 3-year company, bold and true. Fate-bound courts of old and new. From the Feywild to the citrus isles. Shadows grace, and darkness finds their mind. The last phoenix rising from the flames, glory shines so bright. The mystic hope, a beacon high, through storms and trials brave. Air of flowers, life's pure song, with failed strength in vain. The voice of tides, with waters deep, wields the rights of salt and sea. Together bound in legend's light, the fates in harmony.
There it goes. And we're back. Fauna. Your checks. Oop, let me find the cue that I want here. We are going to do we're going to do the results of your investigation check first. On a 16, you've sort of been like trying to predict that you know the drop points, because it's not just there's kind of like different drop points. It's Cletus has gone so deep into this that after the first initial week you're like, maybe there's not as much presence here as we thought. Cletus has gone maybe almost unnecessarily deep to where there are notes being left at different drop points that aren't even the house every time, and you've basically tried to predict his pattern for where he's going to leave something so that you will be there when he arrives. And there is an evening about 2 weeks into your stay here in St. Florian where you are just kind of like in a small curio shop, sort of off the beaten path in St. Florian.
I love a good curio shop.
Yeah, a good curio shop. I actually did just realize that I never really truly described St. Florian for everyone. And I also realized I don't even know if I have it here in the... I might have forgotten to make it live in the overlays. Did I? That one's good enough. But I mean, essentially when you come into St. Florian, you're looking at very Florida-esque terrain. Everything here in St. Florian is green and alive. St. Florian doesn't really experience... every season here is a growth season. So instead of shedding its leaves and retreating back into the ground to sprout anew in the spring, it just continues to get bigger. So a lot of the buildings here are overgrown with flora. There are so many things that resemble orchids, things that resemble magnolia, like flowers kind of growing in and around everything. There's also large sections of St. Florian where the access to is specifically what we call brackish, like a mix of fresh and salt water, but it is almost like some of the streets here are like streams and small rivers, little water thoroughfares, so people get around on canoes, things like that. And there's kind of like a tiered system to St. Florian, so like a lot of the sort of the base level stuff that's a little bit closer to the water would be people, families and such, or shopkeepers that are not quite as well off as everyone else. And so sometimes you run the risk of waking up and finding 3 inches of water in the floor of your shop or your home, depending on kind of like what the tide levels push into St. Florian. Fauna, you are in a curio shop. It is later in the afternoon. It's pretty sleepy in this little section of town. And as you're kind of like browsing around this curio shop, you know that you've done your best to try and pin down where Cletus will be next, and you think this might be the point. You see a familiar, like cloaked, can't see the face, but the height alone almost gives it away as you see someone walk into the shop and bend down to like speak, like whisper something to the shopkeep, who uses kind of the same discretion and like gives them a nod. You see the shopkeep kind of like has these long, just these very long locks. There's kind of a lot of trinkets and curios and things like that, like worked into, like almost like beadwork worked into the locks of this person. They bend down sort of like to kind of like catch what the other person's saying. You see them whisper back. You can see also like they have, it's something that's been done cosmetically or by choice, but they have like blackened teeth too that they've blackened themselves as they are whispering back to the figure, and they take a small note and retreat to the back. As the figure stands up and goes to turn around, do you say anything, Fauna?
Yeah. Wait. So, am I in the shop already?
You're
or
in the
am I,
shop.
Like, seeing this
Yeah.
from outside.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I think Fauna would be like, "Nice to see you."
Stopping short for a moment, you can see from their shoulders they take a deep breath, and still cloak over the face, Cletus turns around to look at you. Whoop. I forgot to put my phone back on Do Not Disturb.
Cletus is blowing up.
Cletus is blowing up. Hold on just a minute. Cletus turns to face you.
Cletus is like, 1 second, I take this call.
Real important. Fauna. I was just supposed to make the drop. I didn't think anyone would be here.
I mean, we just have been worried about you, so I just wanted to make sure you were okay. I didn't mean to, follow you or whatever. Just wanted to check in. I know things have been hard.
Okay is a relative word. I'm alive.
That's something.
I'm sorry. I'm not. Fauna, I'm not. See, Cletus draws closer. I'm close enough now to reach out for your hand. He doesn't. He's close enough to. Looking down at you. I am glad to see you. It's not been the best 2 weeks of my life. Being dead wasn't great either, but,
What have you even been up to? I mean, I know you're searching for something to help us, but we barely heard from you.
Trying to find a trace of any trace of that bird, that hag, anything. I feel like if Fauna, my family's gone now. My family's gone, and a lot of my people. And if I don't get some kind of closure after all that, I don't know how to keep going.
We want that for you too. We all want to finish this, but we are your family too now. We care about you, and I care about you a lot. And I know I'm not asking you to be okay. I know you're not. I mean, no, nobody would be in this situation, but if you could just check in once in a while and, so we know you're still alive.
Give me a persuasion check with advantage.
Um, 13.
See Fauna, the cat, sort of intertwining and rubbing up against Cletus's legs as he stands there looking down. And he doesn't look at you. He's still looking down, but he holds out a hand, sort of facing the ground and just kind of open.
Fauna would definitely take his hand.
And he takes your hand. He sort of bends down in the way that he has to so he can get his forehead close enough, but he takes it and he puts it up against his forehead. All right. I'll check in more.
Thank you. I'm not trying to. I know you need to do what you need to do, and I can't help but, be worried about you.
I understand. See you soon.
I hope so.
Cletus releases your hand. He pauses in the doorway on his way out, but doesn't turn around. Another breath, and then he is gone.
Wait, I want to see if there's any good curios in the shop before I leave.
Yeah, no, before you leave, because as
Fauna
to the
loves
results of your other check,
a
Fauna,
good curio.
as you are like standing facing the door where Cletus just disappeared, you do hear a voice from behind you. You sort of like in the space with Cletus, you've forgotten about anyone else, and there was no one else in the shop except for the shopkeep. But from behind you, so you looking like you have a big love that's been missing from your life.
I'm sorry, who are you?
You turn around and it is the shopkeep. They kind of like give you that smile with the blackened. You see eyes that are, at first you would have said like some light color of brown, but as they catch the light, you see that they are almost, when they catch the light, right, they are almost bright gold. As this person looks up at you. Strong threads you have attached to that one. Tell me, which of the woods? How you come to be here in St. Florian?
Well, I mean, how much time do you have? It's kind of a long, weird story.
Have as long as you want to take in the telling.
How did you know I was a witch? Was it because of...
Well, we always know each other. And you see they raise a finger and just give a soft little snap, and the door just kind of releases and shuts. Doesn't lock. It's not in a threatening way, but rather they're giving
We're
you a
closed
private. They're
way.
giving you a private space. Yes.
Well, I was part of a coven, and they were all murdered, almost all, and so then I joined a group of... I honestly don't even really remember, so much has happened, but I joined a group that have now become my new friends and family, and I've come this far mostly just to support them and also to find out more about myself.
Every witch has her own journey. There are threads attached to you that lead a long way from here.
Well, where do they lead?
Maybe to a dark wood somewhere. Maybe somewhere you have a teacher, like a mother. Maybe somewhere. You see, as they are saying this, they begin to pull out. There's various little like vials, and you see that there is this like some small like black chipped like pot of, maybe it's clear like water and it is steaming, but when they begin to pour it in this cup, the aroma that fills the space is when it's not, the smell is so strong it should be nauseating, is completely overwhelming, but it's kind of similar to that herb that you like, that green, whatever that grass or that leaf was that was in the soup and it is
The soup I've been doming this whole time.
filling the space now. You see she takes a few small little feathers and what looks like it's gelatinous almost. You think, God, it might be a small eye, drops it into the thing, and the smell changes. It's still just as pungent, but it's a little more earthy now. Swirls it around. You was attached to a place far from here. Maybe a place that you can't even get to.
Yeah, how do I get there? I need to get there.
You be talking about walking the wild path.
I think I accidentally did it a little bit, but I don't know how to get back.
Sometimes all her life, a witch try to get back to the thing they do by accident. Sometimes they succeed. Sometimes they try their whole life. I can tell you what I see. If you want.
What do you want in return?
The cost is not much. You see that takes a finger and pretty like kind of similar to your nails, like a little less bestial fauna, but like these black, like, sharpened to a point nails, takes it and just effortlessly just sort of like pricks the palm of their hand and into that same cup. Just 3 drops of blood. 3 drops is all.
Does Fauna feel okay? Like, what's the vibe here?
Yeah, give me
like,
an insight. Give me an insight check.
I guess more specifically, is this recognizable to Fauna as anything that she would understand or like think was okay or not?
You can give me an insight check, and then you can also, on top of that, give me an Arcana check.
Roll for vibe check.
Yeah.
Vibe check, baby. The insight check was 18. Wait, sorry, what was the other one?
An Arcana check.
Arcana. Oof. Arcana check is 27.
Okay. On an 18. I'll kind of intermingle a little bit of what you get from the Arcana. You, as your awareness of magic in this space goes up, Fauna, it's like heightens itself to an ability. I think now in your body, as it has gone through these changes and you've become a little like, at least more like just a little more visibly feral. You know, the horns have gotten larger. You have these claws now. You have the like points on your teeth that are a little more pronounced. It's almost like you sense this, like you can feel your skin bristling and you smell it in the end. Like that intense smell that is in the air is almost like heightening your awareness of what is going on in this space. You are certainly speaking to some kind of a witch. And the sense that you get is that this is someone who is willing to help you for a price, but they're curious enough and you are interesting enough to them that they are not demanding some astronomical, like, there's nothing nefarious going on here. Is your blood going to maybe help them in some of their own endeavors? Yes. Is it this like person who's planning this secret No. It's just somebody... What you were looking at is most likely an uncovened witch, somebody without their own group, or if they do, it's not a tight pact. It is rather like maybe a group of people that they occasionally meet with time to time to trade ingredients and secrets, and then they go back to doing their own thing. They're just looking for components that will assist them in their own endeavors. As far as the rest of the Arcana check, your blood, like, in order for them to read what they're going to read, like, there's no way, right? You couldn't haggle for it. Like, this is a non-negotiable price for what they need because it's going to be part of the spell components that they're using. This is not a type of magic that you're familiar with at all, so it's not like you could look at it and be like, oh yeah, I've seen this kind of work before. Like, you are not out of your depth when it comes to the results of this magic, but this is not a recipe you know how to follow. You've crossed ley lines here. You are in the South Green. Magic works a little differently here, or at least it does for witches. Whatever is going on with this, though, there is a powerful concoction here that you think just simply like a side effect of it is you getting the answer that you've asked for.
Okay. And will helping with this activate anything in the wellspring, or is I'm just like a passive contributor?
On a 20, yeah, you're good. It won't activate anything in the wellspring.
Okay. I'm not gonna like blow up this switch
Yeah.
on accident or something. Okay. I think. What's your name?
They call me Argonite.
I'm Fauna. And she's gonna take her little dagger and add 3 drops of her blood.
For just a moment, cutting through, Fauna, you smell that pervading piney scent of the Everwood. Cuts through, and something else, something floral, but something wild, just for a moment, and you can't quite place the smell, but it seems familiar for some reason, and then it's gone, disappears back into what it was before. Oh, you have bound your fate to another group. It is, I suppose, its own coven, even though you are its only witch. 7 of you bound together. And you
Well, actually, there's 8 if you include Carl.
You mean Kurt?
I do
Don't
not
disrespect him.
I can't even remember his name.
Many will come and go from your group, but bound together, there are 7 that the threads tie. You want to know if you should walk a path, find your way home. If you do this alone, You will fail to achieve what you desire. There must be a reckoning first. For of the seven tied together, there is one whose intent is dark. And if you leave this realm when they are tied to their own doings, who knows how many kingdoms will fall?
Can you see which it is?
A court of nothing and no one.
Yeah. I know what you're talking about. So what you're saying is we have to resolve that issue before I can even think about walking the wild path?
This is just what I see. Far be it from me to tell her which her own path.
Thank you for your insight. It can only help to have another witch help. I've been alone in a lot of ways, even though my new friends are very supportive. They don't really understand what it's like, especially, I don't know if you can see, but it seems to be getting worse.
And you will continue. Tell me, what would you sacrifice to ensure the safety of those you are bound to?
Almost anything. I couldn't protect my previous family, but I would do anything to protect my new one.
See, the cat is winding around your legs. Now Fauna jumps up onto the counter to sit next to you, purring but very softly. Without you, they have no hope. Just as you have no hope if you walk the path without them.
Well, I would never abandon them, so I don't think that will come to pass.
It is good to know in your heart where your loyalty lies. They will need you very much, I think. Sooner than you might imagine. That bird is very close.
What do you know about him?
Well, shop is closed for today. Thank you for coming in.
No, but wait, but you just...
You see, they turn and go to, like, there's sort of a beaded curtain that just... And then it is almost as if they... Your Arcana check was high enough that I'm going to, like, give you in this space. It's not a back room that they just walked into. Like, you can see through a beaded curtain. They just disappeared. They are no lot, like, there's some sort of extra dimensional, or like there's a little pocket outside of that they just like slipped away into.
Great, great. I was gonna ask him about what Cletus was up to, but never mind, I guess.
As you want to give me one last little perception check in this space.
27. Wait. Yeah, 27.
Whoa. You look into the cup. More of a bowl, really, on it. Like, it's a little bit larger than a cup. You see in the cup you see just a small black feather. It's kind of like bedraggled and torn up a bit at the bottom and even like almost matted together as it goes up. It's not elegant looking at all. It's about so big. Left in the bottom of the cup.
Does it seem like a feather of Akron? Or is it just like a regular bird?
Your Arcana check is high enough. It's not any like huge significant thing, but there's like some sort of, there's something about this feather. Like it's not like it was plucked straight from Akron, but there's a reason that is the only thing left of all these components in the bottom of the cup was the feather, almost like a reading of the tea leaves. So there's trace amounts of something on this feather. Nothing significant, like nothing that translates to any sort of like mechanical gain or anything, but there's just a weight of it, like when somebody sort of reads into your future in this particular way, you know, the last thing that's left is sort of in a way like a representation or a little totem of the prophecy, if you want to call it that, or the reading, which is maybe more accurate.
Okay, yeah, I'm definitely gonna take the feather with me. I feel like they left, so they probably don't need it anymore. They didn't seem that worried about it.
The moment you
I'm
take
gonna
the
take
feather, you just like, you hear a little bell on the door as the door just sort of opens of its own accord.
I'm just gonna like look to the cat and be like, well, that was cryptic, but hopefully it will guide us. Let's go.
Cat hops down and is walking next to you. I didn't like the smell.
I know. But
yeah,
it kind of is like that soup, right? You like the soup.
I mean, I'd rather have the mice.
Okay, but Nyx really likes the mice. You can't eat Nyx's mice.
Yeah. Okay. But what if there's a lot of them? Like, what if one went missing? Because I
No
don't
eating
think
the
they're going
mice.
to recognize.
You do know what the city is named after, right? You can't eat the mice here.
Wait, what? And funny, you proceed to tell the tale of St. Florian to the cat as you head back to the house. Okay. Okay, next thing the next thing that I want to get to is Atticus. Atticus, you've been kind of coming and go, like you sort of laid out the tasks that Atticus was up to. I'm going to tell you, I gotta go find my other cue. On top of all the things that you have been doing, Atticus, Armitage has kind of been giving you pretty regular reports and in person, but you know, he's been sort of slinking around just kind of in the immediate area around the chapel and the house, disguised as a beggar, trying to like get what information he can. Unlike Cletus, he's made a lot more face-to-face check-ins instead of like notes left in places and sort of cryptic comings and goings. There is a moment, Atticus, right before you left to head to the tavern 3 weeks in, where Armitage comes to check in, gives you the information, hasn't found anything yet. Let me ask this. Would Atticus have told Armitage about seeing Burgent in the Blade? And like, would you have talked at all to Armitage, like your father, about this, like this relationship?
No.
Okay.
No, he wouldn't have.
Cool. So just Bert then, really.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so Armitage is just sort of telling you, like, still no luck. There have been... I mean, one of the things that Armitage, I think, communicates before he goes around under the guise of is that he knows the spots to wait, because one of the things that he talks about with you is the reason when the sacking of St. Florian happened at the hands of the Mirrored Knight, who you learned now, like, you know, was your father. The reason that happened was Armitage coming back to root out the remnants of Ord and attempt to kill them all. That was why it happened. You showing up was unexpected. And he doesn't, I think, initially doesn't go into a lot of detail about that, but you know, that's why he knows the spots basically to go hang out near, because he is aware of a lot of the places in St. Florian that would have been hotbeds for the remnants. He's kind of giving you this little intel report about 3 weeks in, Atticus. Before you go, as you go to leave to go meet everyone at the tavern, Armitage grabs your arm. You can tell, hesitates for just a moment. Son, I know we haven't found any trace of Auckland yet, but I can feel it's getting closer, and I think it's important that I talk to you about something. Something that I should have told you a long time ago.
Yeah, Atticus just gives his dad his full attention.
Atticus, well, you know, now, our family, our inheritance, its origins are less than noble. Whatever other plane we summon this entity from, well, when we summoned it, and your grandmother survived the summoning of it, that thing was tied to us. While it gave us lives beyond measure, more time than any one human could ever need. It exacted a significant toll. Now, you know, when I left the manor after your mother was consumed, I thought you were dead too. I thought in one fell swoop, Auckland had taken from me everything that meant anything. And so I left. I don't know if in your time you've ever
come up against a hard place the way that I did, I can only assume, but in those years after leaving the manor, more than once I tried to end it. And every time I'd put a knife in my heart, blade in my gut, a rock tied to my boots as the tide came in, I'd wake up naked as the day I was born in a pile of ash. He wouldn't let me go. So I ran. Went to the edge of the world. Thought maybe if I could jump off it, then he wouldn't be able to find me. Then I learned about you. You were still alive. At, Sea Elf. When I came back, Atticus, it was because I knew everything related to Akron had to die. And I figured that'd mean you too. Thought maybe it was some last cruelty Akron was playing on me that I'd have to wipe out every bit of my family line before he let me go. But here you are. And I couldn't bring myself to do it again. I've been puzzling for a long time on how do you kill an unkillable bird that's inextricably linked to your own blood. And I can't figure it out. But I think maybe your mother did. I've seen what you can do with that sword. And I think maybe she left something in there. I think Athena knew how to kill it.
Atticus kind of looks down at his sword and looks at his paw and goes, guess there's one way to find out. And then he pops the coal into his mouth.
Ooh. Okay.
Death saves.
Damn. Okay. Atticus, you pop the coal into your mouth. One moment you are standing in front of your father here in the house in St. Florian. The coal, warm, goes into your mouth. You hear the almost like as it hits your tongue, but you don't feel pain. There's a warmth that begins to spread from your tongue and then goes down your throat as you hold the coal there. It's not burning, but you can feel whatever is in it is spreading through your body, and you are out of the house. You are not in this space anymore. You are...
You might want to catch me, Dad. he falls back while this is happening.
You are leagues away from St. Florian. Atticus, you open your eyes. You are standing here at the edge of the world. A bed of ever-burning coals spreads out as far as you can see to either side on a beach. There's a constant hiss as the tide coming in like hits the coals and then recedes. The coals continue to burn and steam rises up off of the water in front of you. And there's just, the water here is just sort of this constant orange embery glow as the coals spread out underneath the water too, and you can only imagine like continue to burn. So there's just sort of steam rising off of not just where the waves are washing up, but the entire ocean that just kind of creates a mist. You're standing here at the edge of the world. And looking out into the mist, you see a figure walking towards you, about waist deep in the water. And as they draw closer, there's no mistaking it. Looking the same as the last day that you saw her, you see your mother, Athena, right hand Phoenix, coming out of the water towards you. And give me an insight check real quick.
$16 on insight.
Okay. As she walks closer, she doesn't call out, doesn't speak. There's a measured, I think familiar to you, but a measured cadence to her stride. Shoulders back, head high. And there's a smile on her face. And intermingled there, you see both joy and sadness as she approaches. And as she sets that first foot on the land out of the waves, you know, she's pretty close to you now, about 20 feet away. She looks at you smiling. Well, I'll be. You're all grown up.
And you look just like I remember you.
Well, you don't age much.
Maybe
once
not
you
on
go
the
past the
outside,
edge of the
but
world.
Sounds pretty familiar.
You've aged a lot.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not the little boy you remember, but that stopped hit a certain age, and that just kind of stopped. Thought I'd be old and gray and a long time ago.
Athena steps forward, Atticus, and in that instant that she steps forward and closes the distance, she changes from looking like a noble warrior striding out of an ocean at the end of the world, and you feel her as your mother now. She comes into you and she gives you a big hug. You know, she's pretty tall. She's not as tall as you, so she's able to just sort of like tuck her head in like underneath your chin too.
Oh.
I bet you could tell a lot of
Forgot
stories
what this felt
now.
like. Too many stories, Ma.
Most
Been
good
trying.
ones.
Yeah, it's been good as of late.
some hardship here and there, but I have friends, care about them. My son is alive.
Your son?
Yeah, you're a grandma. You're a grandma.
Atticus
little
Phoenix,
Atlas.
if you came all the way to the edge of the world just to tell me that I'm a grandmother, well, I'm happy you made the trip. Now you sit down and you tell me all about him. And I think Athena sort of sits down next to you and in that motherly way, like, insists that you sit. And Atticus, if you oblige, she spends the next, I think you lose track of the time as she asks you about everything. And 1,000 years is a lot of years to cover.
Yeah, Atticus goes into details about, his son and the last couple years in advance, are just what's the freshest of memories, and then kind of gets to the point where he's like, I wish I came to see you just to tell you all the good things, but if I'm coming to you, if I'm reaching out, it's there's some serious problems that need to be dealt with.
Yeah.
And only my mom's wisdom can help me out.
I'm assuming they are of a feathered variety.
He doesn't have much feathers these days.
No, well, not a bad place to start.
Yeah. Atticus kind of just goes into detail about, like, what happened at Phoenix Manor and, like, the stuff with the Legrand family and the betrayal, and gets to the point he's like, a couple weeks ago I was in Port Amal, and he pulls the necklace out from under his armor and he's like, I found this. I think this is yours, but I'm gonna hold on to it if that's all right.
Oh, it's all right. I didn't have much use for it. I left it for you anyway.
I guess what I need to know, when I was a kid, gosh, it feels so, it's like a Aiden Hanan, but used to tell me a story about you and Dad and the original Knights fighting a darkness down in the South Green, and you beat it back. Whatever you did, beat it back, and I'm starting to think that the darkness was a way of hiding what it really was.
As it usually is.
Figured that out all on my own too. Impressive, huh?
Boy, there's no shortness to the amount of things that you've told me that I don't find impressive.
How did you beat it? And what do I need to do? Pa, who's still around, we can get into that, but kind of went over the details for you, but he said you might know. You might know the secret.
Athena takes a moment, Atticus. She looks down. You're still sitting here. The waves lapping up on the coals. And I need everyone else to take their headphones off.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
We did it.
Okay. Atticus Athena looks back at you. When we took on the darkness and it revealed itself for what it was, you know, we had help. I mean, you know the story as well as I. If it weren't for the courage of those errant knights and St. Florian in particular, I don't think the darkness would have ever been revealed or knocked back, but as you now well know, it came back. And I always had a hunch, a feeling like something like this, a thing made, brought here, some kind of door opened for it so it could crawl its way into our world. Had to be a way of getting it back through that door, back to the place where it came from. But you can't shut a door, Atticus, if there's a thread, a tie that binds it to something here. I raised you. I raised you the best way I knew how, Atticus. I raised you to be a hero, and it wasn't until after you were born that I learned what I wanted to know. That the blood that runs in your father's veins, the blood that runs in yours, that's the thread, Atticus. And in order to send this thing back where it came from, you'd have to beat it back, same way we did all those centuries ago. And once it's in that state, it's at its weakest, you'd have to deprive it of the thread. You'd have to go with it.
Atticus looks down, he chuckles. I'm just like that's another thing I figured.
My baby,
What
I'm
about
so sorry.
Dad? What about hey. You don't have to apologize. I knew this ticket wasn't free for a ride this long, and kind of knew. I think I was running away from it for a long time and tricking myself into helping others out along the way, saying like, look, I'm a hero. I'm helping the people, you know, just trying to hide the fact that I knew there was something waiting for me back home, and it was the end of the line. You don't have to apologize for anything. How could you have known? You found out after. Had a great life.
And if I can do something to make sure my friends have a good life after me, tell stories about us traveling, my son can grow up in a world where he doesn't have to worry about the scary things that go bump in the night, that's a good thing.
If it's anything like you, I reckon instead of being scared of the things that go bump in the night, you'll find him in the middle of the night, sword and shield in hand, cleaning out underneath the bed.
You know what? He's more of a book kid. I had to go into his room and tell him to stop reading. Put out the candlelight. He's so smart. He's so smart, Mom. He is. I reckon he's at the manor right now. I reckon he's read just about every book in that library. Powerful. I see him probably being one of the wisest wizards of the land later in his life. He is smarter than I am. I'll tell you that much.
I have no doubt.
Atticus takes his mom's hand and he's like, I'm glad we got this one last time. This is a gift I would never, out of all the things I've seen in my life, this is something I never thought I would get again.
I didn't either. A lot of times when a mother brings a child into this world, she doesn't see the things, the dark things that wait in the world until it feels too late. And then all you can do is prepare your baby to face him. You know.
Well, I got your sword. I got your shield. And I got your armor too. I got all your stuff. I feel prepared. But you know what? Even in the moments I do feel scared, you know what I think of, Mom? I think about us in the garden. Teaching me about the plants, picking flowers, picking berries. That's my happy place and brings me peace. So just know that even though you're far away, you're always with me.
Wow. Athena takes the back of your head, Atticus, and just puts her face to yours. You sit there like that for a few moments, the tide continuing to wash in. She pulls back and looks at you. You know where to find me when it's all done.
I can't wait.
I love you, baby.
I love you too, Mom.
And Atticus, Athena stands up, begins to walk out into the water where she came from, and in a last moment before she disappears into the steam, turns back and looks at you. Right the hand.
I wish I remembered the saying, Mom. You know I'm bad with words.
It don't matter none. You know it here. and Athena disappears. Everyone else can put your headphones back on. Atticus, you are back in the room. Armitage looking at you. How was she?
She looked the same as the day I last saw her. Warm as ever.
That's how I always remember her, too.
She thought I came all the way just to let her know she's a grandma. I wish it was that simple.
I don't suppose she told you what you needed to hear.
That and some.
All right.
Know what we gotta do?
Well, Armitage throws the hood back up, like still wearing the beggar's garb. I'm gonna get back out there. It's close, son. I can feel it.
Me too. Me too, Paul. Atticus kind of pats him on the shoulder and just kind of turns around and starts walking away.
As you're walking away, you're kind of both heading out the door, but in separate directions. You hear Armitage stop walking. As you hear the footsteps stop, do you turn around to look?
Yes, I do.
You see Armitage standing there, cloaked, or he's taken his massive frame and has just kind of hunched it over to take on less noticeable, more humble posture as he assumes the role that he's been playing for the last couple weeks. But you see on a finger outstretched just a firefly comes down, lands on the finger. You see he bends over as if to whisper something to it. And then it flies away. And he continues walking off. And you, Atticus, head to the tavern to meet up with everyone else, which we are now back in the tavern. I will ask this question here back in the tavern. Kurt has told you 8 days until... 8 days until the St. Florian's Day Ball, Masquerade. Is there anything in the coming week that anyone wants to do before the ball? Sort of like the last little checklist thing.
Yeah, I think Perrin will want to at least eat and sleep a few times.
Yeah, sounds good. Eating and sleeping, a solid idea.
Outfit.
In fact, why not take 8 long rests leading up to the St. Florian's Day Ball?
Those stack, right?
Oh yeah,
so you don't
for sure.
want to sleep through the ball. It would be
stack.
7 long rests.
Each time you stack a long rest, it gives you you get double the hit points restored up to your maximum amount of hit points.
Hell yeah.
And
you're
beyond.
rolling on the encounter table every one of those rests, right?
My hit points
but just
are now
for things
1,000.
like orphans stopping by to try and sell you newspapers and street vendors with candy and popcorn and
During those 8 days, Atticus also eats and sleeps and takes some nice rests. But during that time, he has given how do I put this? He has slipped everybody letters that
say on it like don't, if they look at it, it's like a don't open till like we kill that big son of a bitch bird or something like that.
Yeah, do not
everyone
open
got
until
one of those.
bird dead.
And it's up to them if they have.
Perrin
Yeah,
immediately
it's like-
opens in front of Atticus. Even
Well, I will say
It just
this.
says, Perrin, I knew you would read this, you son of a bitch.
Yeah, exactly.
Here are clues to find your other letter.
Yeah. Yes, that's exactly what it. What
I
it
don't have
says.
time to follow these clues until after we fight. Oh, god damn it!
Yeah, 8 days worth of clues. I will also say,
Just for Perrin, because he knew Perrin would,
yeah.
would open it immediately.
if we want to do this, what is the business building idea that Perrin is trying to put into effect?
Oh, those products that Perrin ordered.
Yeah.
He is promising that man that he will see up to 50 to 100 additional orders immediately following the ball, and so he is trying to hype it up, and in fact is now going to name drop that. What's his face, Mr. Cilantro, is going to be
Wilfred Cilantro.
will be wearing the base model backpack hat, and so he's trying to hype that up to that guy.
Give me. I think this is still a persuasion check. Give me a persuasion check
All right.
with advantage.
I need you to understand this, right? You're down here in the South. Fashions are a little new. You're a craftsman. You're doing this mainly for practicality, right? What was your name again?
Oh, you're talking to the person making,
Yeah.
like the person making the packs, or the person that's making your merchandise.
Whoever it is. I don't know what kind of shop this is, but it's whoever Perrin found. These craftsmen who are making these items.
Oh yeah. Okay. Cool. Merle like looks at you from behind the like. It's
Merle.
a pretty big leatherworking shop.
Like, I understand that you have your thing here, you have your niche, you make like handles and straps and armor and things like that. But you have one market, and that's people who go out into the woods and do whatever weird shit they're doing in the woods, and then they come back and they're fine.
I've seen 1, 2, 3, 4. Like we've in the woods.
Yep.
Yeah.
You make good armor, right? It's pretty.
Oh,
This is
yeah.
good armor.
Yeah.
So then they go out and do their woods, and then they come back, and guess what? Their armor's fine. It doesn't matter what kind of trouble they got up into. They don't need your business. How much armor does a person need?
Well, I mean,
It's
No.
fine. It's a rhetorical question, Merle. So here's the thing. Normal people, fancy people, you might even say rich people, are going to be interested in a product that you can make. A new product. It's never been seen here before. Fash packs. They're fashion backpacks. This is a lot of information because you don't know what backpacks are, much less what fashion backpacks are.
well, no,
But I don't know if you
I'm
noticed
taking it.
this thing that I have on my back. This is the prototype. I made this myself. Now, I'm not a craftsman. I'm a designer, If you went up to the north, you would see this is a piece of high fashion. This is spreading through, the richest of the rich.
Oh,
Now,
oh.
yeah. Now, do you know Sir Mr. Cilantro?
Hell no.
He's pretty rich, right?
He's drunk.
Well,
He's
he is pretty
rich.
drunk, too,
Yeah.
Now,
Yeah.
let me ask you a question, just a hypothetical. This fancy, soft-handed man that he is, how much armor does he buy?
Well,
Doesn't really buy. It's not really his thing.
no.
Nope. Guess
Yeah.
how many fashion backpacks he wants to buy? He's renting
3 or 4.
one for 1,500 gold pieces for a day. Renting. Now, I want to make this clear. He's a rich, fancy guy, but he's a rich, fancy guy who still has a job. The market I'm talking about are people who do not work. You have any idea how much gold those people will pay?
Oh,
This is Here's the best part, though. Those people are never going to wear these backpacks out. They're not working in them. They're wearing them to a fancy event. And then the next event, you know what you say? The brand new Backpack 14S. Now it comes in silver grommets instead of brass grommets. And all of a sudden, they're all clamoring for the new one. Next week, it's the titanium grommets and the 5G network. And they'll just keep buying the brand new version every time you drop a new one. Doesn't matter how long they have to line up. It doesn't matter how much it costs. They will buy.
All right, sorry, I finished the peanut butter. I'm in.
I want to be completely clear. I don't want to share of your business. You're the craftsman.
No, what you've laid out sounds pretty good to me.
Yep.
Yeah.
Gonna be rich.
Yeah.
And all I want.
Oh, you're a craftsman?
Wait, Jesus Christ! Did you follow me?
Oh.
Yeah, man. This perilous times.
I'm buying you a Christmas present right now.
The best leather worker in St. Florian. That's me.
I'm Atticus Phoenix. Yeah. I would love to offer you a job at Phoenix Manor. I need a craftsman up there immediately.
How?
Yeah, you
hold on. Before
right
or after I finish this gentleman's work?
Oh, right away. Right
away. Both of you can roll me contested.
I might even knight you if you
roll me contested persuasion checks.
No, it's fine. I know the second best leather worker in town. I'll just go there in the dead of night.
No, wait.
Oh, it's
this
fine.
Is payback for killing my eyeglasses guy.
It's fine.
Don't go to Durl's shop. Just hold on. Let me think about things.
No. It's cool. You made up your decision. You want to work for this guy. That's fine. Go do that. This isn't a fortune that I'm talking about. It's not easy money that I'm pitching. Clearly, just go work for this. I don't know if he told you what happened to the last staff. They all murdered themselves and exploded because they belonged to a cult. Did you tell him, Atticus? Did you tell him about the working conditions?
No, but I was going to tell him about you killing a business partner back in a couple cities ago, so he's not really trustworthy.
As you're having this argument, and Merle is desperately trying to figure out how to garner both of your businesses or propositions in this moment, the bell on the door jingles, and just a small blue tiefling boy with a little jaunty cap walks in. Did I hear you fellers say that you were looking for someone to run a business proposition by that's a maker of sorts?
That's a weird thing to overhear, but yeah.
Yeah, well, I got good ears, and I happen to be of the right personality where, seems I always tend to show up where I'm needed.
So, you know what? Just hold on one second. Atticus,
I
just a
ran an
sidebar
errand
real
for this
quick.
Fellow the other night.
Yes, you did. You did a great job. Atticus, just a quick little sidebar.
Yeah, but what's up?
So, Atticus, if what you're saying is that your plan is to kill this guy, that's fine. I'll murder him now. That's not going to hurt my feelings. You're not really getting back at me at that point.
No. My point is to show you, to get back at you, but not to murder an innocent person.
Right.
That's
to
the
be
lesson
clear.
in all of this.
I was trying to rescue our friend Vox from her fucking evil magician uncle who was in charge of the guard that I killed. And if I recall correctly, 2 of our friends killed 70 guards in the staircase outside.
As you were talking loudly about how many people
have a brave heart, man. What do you mean?
Neither one of you noticed
two things at once.
That Merle has fully grabbed a suitcase, stuffed as much as he can into it. Overhearing you talk about how many people you've killed and that you're the damage you're willing to do, has fully just ran out of the shop, is leaving town. And by the time you turn back around from your argument, you see that the little tiefling boy is just sitting on top of the counter with a little tiny just sort of name tag that they've given themselves that just says owner.
All right, well, I guess you're now in charge of my order. Here's the order sheet.
Oh, right, yeah.
Were you eavesdropping on the whole pitch I was giving about the rich people?
Oh, I mean, I might have heard a thing or two.
Look, you don't have to be polite. You can be honest if you were
Yeah, I heard every
listening
word.
in the
You were
whole time.
yelling. You were yelling like 5 feet away from the counter. Why do you
Look,
think?
I know
Merle
I give
got
you.
the
I know. I give you a couple
FUCKK out of
coppers.
here.
But yeah, I can tell that you really take your payment and paying attention to when people are talking about things. Can you make these?
Yeah, I can make them. Take me about, I got some other friends that are pretty good at it. If I cut them in on a little percentage.
Wait, am I starting a children's sweatshop at the moment? Is that what just happened? I'm now responsible for. Is that what I'm doing now?
You didn't
It's
ask
a
how old I am.
classic parent situation.
Because I'm
Sir,
I just want to be clear.
I'm 56 years old. I have a condition.
All right. Same question still applies though. Legally speaking,
I'll
are
make
you
sure
56 years
we
old?
don't hire any of the kids. Yeah, I'll make sure.
Atticus starts taking steps back, and he's just kind of like shaking his head in disbelief, and he goes, "You know what, Perrin? You're the type that falls into a pile of shit, and it comes out smelling like roses. Good for you, bud. I'm gonna see my way out of this."
All right, so we're just going to adjust the pitch real quick. I'm going to sign the paperwork here giving you the exclusive rights to the design of my backpack. I'm going to take 1% of profit. I will pick it up twice a year, but I still want the 5 items that I ordered. Wait, 7 items? I don't know
you're
how
saying
many
this,
items I
Perrin,
ordered.
Bert walks in the doors behind you. Hey, y'all, I need someone as an investor. An idea I've had for my... And we cut, after all the haggling, Perrin, you are able... did you roll... What was your persuasion check when you rolled it?
Do you really want me to roll this plus 12?
I do. I do want you to roll.
27.
Great. It works out exactly like you want. You're going to be able to collect payments every 6 months, and in foregoing that first payment, you will not need to provide any upfront money for any of the materials, but you will get you don't get that 1K deposit back that you'd already put down. Merle fucking took that and split when he ran. But you will get the items that you had wanted at that higher price.
At that price?
You will get the items that were worth that much.
Okay.
So
those items
are
are the first block of okay.
Yeah.
A markdown 1K.
Forego the first payment.
And the rights of manufacturing
so
are
in
paying for the
in
item.
1 year you would get your first actual payment.
I'm not too worried about the actual gold.
Yeah, I figured at this point, yeah.
In 1 year, if Perrin remembers that this happened, that alone will be a blessing. If Perrin remembers any of this in a year of game time, it will be a miracle.
Okay. St. Florian's Day approaches. Everyone continues their work. I have one question to ask before we cap our penultimate episode before the finale.
Is it what are we gonna wear to the masquerade ball? Because
I will be everyone
that's
be
the
thinking
most pressing question.
It's
for me.
incredibly important. Everyone do have know what you're going to be wearing to the masquerade ball. That'll be part of our finale. Is you sort of as you are announced and enter the ball, you will be able to describe what you're wearing. The only other question that I have to ask is, does Vox follow up on investigating those catacombs at all?
Oh, for sure. While they were in the tavern, I think that Vox would have brought it up to Atticus and been like, well, what do you know about this? And also, can you come teach a class, please? Because they are asking, and I sort of promised, but we should probably go look through to the catacombs.
Cool. Vox, give me one more investigation check.
We better comb through them.
I'm all right.
I'm really sad about that
25.
shopkeeper leaving. I liked that about turn he did.
You said 25?
Yeah.
Okay. You do have time. You have 8 days here. You do have time to go out, and where you find the entrance of the cave to follow the network back, you pretty quickly realize, Vox, it would take you days to navigate back coming this way. However, with further investigation, there is another night at the tavern where you see coming and going. You see that same smith that you saw who was like silent, but the other one was talking to them, telling you see them coming and going. They go to a section of the chapel that is kind of tucked away and hidden. I'm not going to make you roll a stealth check on it because the investigation's pretty good and I think you're taking your time.
But I'll roll a stealth.
Yeah, no, I also know it would be pretty good. I think you were able to, like, what you learn is that the entrance to the catacombs, like the best, there actually is a way down from here inside the chapel. There's a way down from here inside the chapel, and like a good guise for getting down here. You could definitely give it a shot during the ball.
Nice.
Because there's going to be so many people here that, like, it would be the easiest time to investigate what, like, if there is anything going on down there, just because it would be so busy with the masquerade that no one will question, like, why you were going to this section of the chapel. You wouldn't really have to worry about being followed or anything. Like, you could just sort of disappear into the crowd and give it a good search.
Yeah, I think in the days leading up then to that Vox would definitely find a place to stash everyone's, like, adventurers clothes.
Cool.
And weapons in near that so that they could get down into it and be able to get out of masquerade gown.
Awesome. Okay.
Do we know that you did that, or are we just like, where'd all our clothes go?
I feel like she's told Atticus and she's told Nyx, and then everyone else is kind of just like, where are my clothes? And they'll get keeping.
Yeah, I think if Vox didn't tell, I think that Vera would, like, in your confusion, Fauna, one day when you can't find your clothes, Viera, who's been a regular at the house now, informs you that, like, she saw Vox making off with everyone's clothes earlier, that, like, their armor. And
somehow that's all the
that.
explanation I need. I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, that makes sense. Sure.
Okay, that is where we are ending our session. The next one that we do, we're actually streaming. We'll be re-airing them on Twitch Monday and Tuesday, but we are streaming next Sunday, 2 sessions in a row to do our finale for
this
Arc 2.
Upcoming Sunday.
Yeah, this upcoming Sunday on the 29th. So in person, so I'll be in person, and it'll be so much fun.
We'll be in person, not you watching on the internet.
No, yeah.
Unless you want to be
us.
in person.
Yeah, we won't fly you in, though. All right. Until next time, thanks for tuning in.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye now.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye. And...